We are back. Peter Golenbock, remembering Dynasty and Bums, has turned into the Three Mishugana baseball fans. Peter Golenbock, Alan Blumkin, and myself, Ralph Tyko. How are you, gentlemen?
Fine.
Fabulous.
Good. And Alan, how are you, sir?
Fine.
Okay.
I'll be better when I don't have to hear the name or the sound of Donald Trump anymore.
23 more days.
Wow. Did he
but
bury
you know what?
himself?
He's not going away.
For 1 week,
he
absolutely buried himself
the whole
in
thing
this
is
1 week.
Out tremendously. I just wish it was over with. I can't stand the
he
sight
took
of
himself
him.
out of it.
You know, the way they cover him, like every time he goes to the bathroom, it's a major news story.
It's bizarre, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's absolutely bizarre. He makes 6 speeches a day because he knows every time he makes a speech, he'll end up on MSNBC.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, fortunately, what?
Well, I'm just saying, he's saying things that are so bizarre, like suing the New York Times for reporting the news.
Well,
exactly.
Well, I'm sorry.
No, I know.
That's got to be one of the. That's chutzpah.
That's how he screws all his subcontractors that he cheats because he signs for a deal. He pays them maybe a third, and says if they sue him, he'll tie him up in court for years, which they can't afford.
That's what he does.
The guy
exactly. And this is how he's going to make America great.
He has no redeeming features. He has no moral value.
None. Zero. None. Absolutely none. And the weird thing about it, what's so bizarre, and I'm thankful that it is so, is that he goes on and brags about it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
He will go on the Howard Stern show and talk about how he mistreats women. I mean, I've never seen anybody, literally never seen anybody as, I guess the word is immoral, without a conscience, who is so willing to step on other people. And the smaller you are, the more willing he is to step on you.
Yeah, and the followers are, what amazes me, no matter what he does, the hardcore doesn't care.
Yeah, no, I know. That is the scary part. You know, you watched in the 1930s when all of these Germans would walk in step and throw out that Sig Heil, and you would wonder, how could this society, this German society of Goethe and all these wonderful musicians, how could they end up like that? And fortunately for us, we've had some, protections from him that the people in Germany didn't have. And our primary protection, believe it or not, is television.
Oh, yeah.
Television is what has protected us from the worst of Donald Trump. Because before TV, I'm sure Hitler did all sorts of, really, really terrible, awful things, but you never found out about it. But in this society, you do something, and it's going to be on TV somehow. And that's what saved us from him.
Yeah. No.
All of these Republicans who decided the only way that the party was not going to somehow explode was to follow on Donald Trump's coattails. Even after he went after the parents of that dead soldier.
Yeah.
Even after he's talking about building a wall to keep the Mexicans.
He calls McCain a coward, and McCain supports
all of them. Giuliani. What happened to Giuliani, who was the hero of 9/11? Or Chris Christie, the hero of the George Washington Bridge? What has happened to these people? And so many of the Paul Ryans, who is pretty despicable in his own right, if you really, really look at things to see what Ryan wants to do.
Yeah, look at Cruz.
I mean, the Cruz. Cruz is another one.
Yeah.
Or Pence.
Yeah.
What Pence wants to do is unbelievable. If you're a woman and you get pregnant by a rapist, according to Pence, you've got to keep your baby.
Yeah, I know that, yeah.
So what's so bizarre? What is so bizarre, really, because the Republicans have spent so many years talking about how Hillary is a liar this and a liar that, and she can't be trusted, and Benghazi and emails and all this total nonsense, is that if Hillary had run against any other of those 16 Republican candidates, except perhaps Ben Carson, who, though somehow he's a heart surgeon, has got to be the dumbest man on earth.
Yeah.
Aside from Ben Carson, those people, all of them probably would have beaten her.
Yeah.
That's what's so bizarre about this. And in a way, Donald Trump has saved this country from any of those people becoming president. That's what's so weird about this whole damn thing.
And of course, nominate anybody else but her, she'd be leading him by 30 points.
That may be true, but they didn't.
I know they.
And so, what does it take? What does it take to bring down one of the most evil people ever nominated for the presidency of this fine country? What does it take? It takes two guys sitting in a bus, and what absolutely kills me is the other guy is related to George W. Bush.
Yeah.
Billy Bush is his cousin.
Yeah.
And Billy Bush is sitting there with Donald Trump as Trump tells him how he enjoys forcing himself upon women, and they take it because he's famous and he's a star.
Yeah.
I mean, you go back to Mitt Romney and the waiter who taped him saying 41% of the people in this country are takers.
Yeah.
Okay? And that I do believe was the turning point, the pivot, as the mainstream media keeps talking about, the pivot, the turning point of allowing Barack Obama to beat Mitt Romney.
Romney was a decent human being.
Romney was definitely a decent human being. Now, the other irony that I'm enjoying so much is that when Hillary made a talk and she said about half of the people who support Trump are a basket of deplorable, which really just makes me laugh like hell. Because if you think about it, if these people believe in the things that Trump believes, they are deplorable.
Yeah.
Do they really want to throw 11 million Muslims out of this country? Or all the undocumented people who live here? Do they really want to do that? I mean, and so many of the other things that he has
some of them want to bring
do.
Slavery back.
Yes.
They want to go back to before the Civil War.
They do. Yeah, I mean, they talk about the Republicans wanting to go back to 1950. I think they've got it wrong. I think truly they want to go back to 1850.
Yeah.
Really, where some of these guys like Ryan and so forth talk about not wanting to have a minimum wage. They want to do away with the minimum wage. That way, more people can go to work.
Yeah.
You know, that the slaves had a minimum wage. Their wage was nothing.
Yeah.
That was their minimum wage.
All right.
These people come up with these things, and you wonder how in the world did these people become elected? How did a guy like Sam Brownback become elected to become the governor of the state of Kansas, which he proceeded to bankrupt? How did Scott Walker become the governor of the state of Michigan, which he then proceeded to poison? He's Wisconsin. Okay, who's the Michigan guy?
Snyder. That's the one with
Snyder. How do you elect a guy like Snyder, who then proceeds to order the poisoning of the people of Flint, Michigan. How does that happen? Scott Walker's another one. Destroy the unions. Get rid of education.
I contributed money to his recall. The attempt to recall him a few years ago didn't work.
It was close. It was close.
It didn't work.
But what I want to know, the former governor of Texas, the guy who wore phony eyeglasses because he wanted
Rick Perry.
Rick Perry.
Yeah.
This is like the dumbest person to ever walk the earth.
Man,
how do these people get elected? The truth is they really don't stand for anything.
No,
lower taxes,
told me that,
better jobs.
The current one makes Rick Perry seem like an Einstein.
Well, I don't know about that. Maybe. I don't know him well.
I have a friend that lives there. I talked to,
But these people spend millions of dollars to get elected. And then clearly they get elected, and then they make themselves very, very rich. We got a guy in Florida by the name of Marco Rubio.
Oh, yeah.
Marco Rubio had nothing.
Marco, yeah.
Little Marco had nothing. And then he started in Florida politics, and pretty soon he's made millions. He gets paid by the Duke Energy people. They have something on the ballot now called Amendment 1. This was put up there by Duke Energy, by the electric companies. And basically what it says in garbled language is you want to pass this bill because this will be much better for the people of Florida. But what the bill really says is that the people of Florida can't generate electricity and sell it. Only the electricity companies can. And they're pushing it. Millions. They've spent $125 million trying to pass this phony Amendment 1 in Florida. You go on Facebook and you see Amendment 1. Vote for Amendment 1. They're smart. You can share it, but you can't comment on it. Because if people were commenting on it, they'd say this thing's a scam. Don't vote for it. So we as Democrats must be really stupid people. There must be something wrong with us because we can't convince the populace that we really would like to help the people of this nation as opposed to the other party, which is interested almost exclusively in getting rich.
No, let's go.
I'm just at a total loss.
I know, yeah.
Total loss to understand.
Let's get Ralph involved and let's get on to baseball, okay?
All right,
okay.
I am back. I lost it for a minute. I told you guys when Comcast goes down, I go down. Alan is anxious to get very well spoken, Peter. The question is, how did our society get to the point where these are the people that we've chosen to represent us? Just in general. And as much as we can complain about Trump, I think Cruz was worse.
I agree.
They play on fear.
They do.
Okay.
Yeah. My biggest fear is blurring the line between church and state. And Cruz does that, seems to would have done that more than Trump, who probably, that's not an issue with him. He doesn't even think.
I'm not sure Trump has an issue.
No,
I mean, other than bloviating. When it comes to what he's really going to do, he knows more about ISIS than the generals.
Yeah.
He knows more about fixing the economy than anybody.
Yeah, he's the only one that can bring the country together.
He's the only body who can bring anybody around.
Yeah.
It's very clear that this fella knows about what Sarah Palin knows, which was literally zero. So what makes them...
Well, that's giving Sarah Palin too much credit.
No, I don't think so.
No,
I don't think so.
Knowing zero is giving her too much credit.
Well, if you listen to Steve, what's his name, Schultz? Is it Steve Schultz? The Republican pundit.
Yeah, the guy who ran McCain's campaign. He was the one.
Yeah, brilliant.
Yeah, brought her into the limelight. Gave her.
He did, and he's been apologizing for it ever since. And he just cannot fathom what has happened to the Republican Party. And yet this is something that has been slowly unraveling for the last 20-something years. You know, you've got a Congress who spent 8 years dedicated to making sure that Barack Obama accomplished nothing.
Yeah.
Now, how can you call yourself a politician if your job is to make sure nothing gets done? And when you have 8 years of this, you know, and you've got Fox News drumming it into people's head that this is a good thing, this is what you end up with. So the fact that Donald Trump doesn't know, wouldn't know ISIS from, you know, from Syria, from Iran, from Iraq, or any of these other.
Always consult his buddy Putin.
Well, he could. I mean, it's clear that he's made millions of dollars from Russia.
Oh yeah.
He's got Russian contacts. I mean, Putin is rooting for him to become the president. Why are people upset?
One of Trump's great quotes was, you know, they had the collapse, you know, from the housing crisis. He said it was good for business.
Yes.
The only thing the only thing he gives a damn about is himself.
That's correct. That's correct. And now, why is it that the three of us can see that? Why is it the three of us can see that? Alan can see it. You can see it. I can see it. But 40% of this country can't?
I have no idea.
I don't know either. And the funny thing is, I had read a very interesting quote. And the quote was that this country was becoming very, very much like Iraq. In that, in Iraq, you've got the Sunnis and the Shiites.
And the Kurds, yeah, that's it.
Well, forget the Kurds, but the Sunnis and the Shiites are the two parties, and these people hate each other so much.
What happened there was Muhammad died without leaving a direct son. So
correct.
They split into factions, and they've been killing each other since 700.
Without a doubt.
Yeah.
And they won't stop.
No.
And they won't stop, and they won't sit, and they won't compromise, and they won't do anything to help their people.
Because the other side is an infidel.
Okay, so how is that different than how the Republicans and the Democrats feel about each other today?
You put up boogeymen and create fear, and it doesn't matter what you do as long as the fear pots keeps boiling.
Without a doubt. Without a doubt. What really would have been nice is if somebody could have bridged that gap. But the problem is that the Republicans are so hateful towards Obama. They just hate him so much that there was no compromise that was possible. And this is for 8 years. For 8 years. Do you know how many judges he's appointed that they refuse to confirm?
Quite a lot.
Hundreds.
Yeah.
Hundreds. And we've got organizations in Washington that are supposed to be run by people where the bosses can't be confirmed because the Republicans refuse to confirm them. We've got a Supreme Court justice who has been unconfirmed for 150 days.
Yeah. Well, McConnell.
I just,
Kentucky.
You know.
Kentucky is where they have the Creation Museum.
Yeah, I know. So it may be, if Hillary can defeat Trump by the 11 or 12 points that, you know, the poll people seem to say that she's going to, only if the Democrats can take over the Senate will she be able to make these appointments.
Do anything, yeah.
If they can.
Yeah.
We're back to another 4 years of government doing nothing, where the poor people who are living in poverty or close to it, or who see their jobs disappear and go overseas, nothing is going to change. Nothing. You can fix all of it. You can fix any of it if you sit down to try to fix it. But when one party is unwilling to talk to the other party, it doesn't get done.
I know that, yeah.
So
can you guys tell
where
me
we
about
are.
if NAFTA's working or if there's a chance we could ever get NAFTA to work?
NAFTA is unbelievably complicated.
Yeah,
NAFTA.
I can't discuss that. I'm not.
It's just so complicated.
Yeah.
Apparently, yes, we've lost a lot of jobs because of NAFTA. But apparently we've gained a great deal from NAFTA as well in our trade. So I don't know. You've got to be Robert Reich, or you've got to be, somebody really on top of things to know whether
I
NAFTA
read
works.
something on Facebook that you posted, Peter. You were a classmate of Robert Reich's. Am I correct?
I was. Well, he was a class
Wow.
of 69. I was class of 67, but we were friends. He was the smartest guy in the whole school.
That's how you said you described him as the smartest man you ever met, or something.
Yeah, I think that's true. Yeah, I think that's true.
Wow.
Excluding the two of you.
You think?
Yeah.
Speaking for me, and by the way, if Comcast, anybody from Comcast is listening, I seem to have trouble on a regular basis.
Let me give you a hint, Ralph. Ralph, they don't care. They don't care.
I know, but I'm pleading. Can you hear it in my voice?
I can hear it, but they still don't care. You're going to pay them whether you want to or not. Whether it works or not, you're going to pay them. They don't care. How about the Wells Fargo Bank that opened up more than 1 million phony accounts without telling the people they were opening them? And giving them credit card accounts where they were charging them yearly fees without getting their permission to open them. How about that? Has anybody gone to jail? Anybody gone to jail? Anybody at all?
No.
Let me tell you a little story. 3 years ago, they changed the rules where Wells Fargo couldn't send you a $25 late overdraft fee every day until you made it right for a week. You know what I'm saying? If you overdraft it. They changed the rule. I personally was a prototype guy that got screwed. I one day ended up spending on my Social Security check, off my Social Security check, $300 because I was overdrawn and because life was at a point where I wasn't paying attention. If I'm overdrawn today, I don't have the money. I'm going to be overdrawn every day. Badunk, badunk, badunk. They had to go to court. They forced them to change the law. You couldn't do that. You're overdrawn. You could charge, but not every day.
Yeah, no, I know. These people are thieves.
So they changed
these
that.
People
so
are thieves.
They look, these big banks, it's not just Wells Fargo. I can assure you that. It's all of them. Yeah. Right. Not yet. Wells Fargo is pretty good at it, and
the guy who came up with this brilliant idea just quit, and he only went home with $94 million.
Well, it was like 134, and he got to retire.
They
he
penalized.
Still gets his retirement.
Yeah.
That's good. What gets me.
Let me interrupt you for a second. People talking about Hillary and how she's tied to Wall Street. But if she were ever to become the president, and if the Democrats were able to return to running the Senate and the House, they would go back and pass this Glass-Steagall and some of these other laws that would keep the banks from being able to bundle phony mortgages and cheat people and make millions while everybody, lost their homes. They would prevent that. The Democrats would prevent that.
It's like the 1890s right now.
And the money people,
yeah.
those are the business money people who are empowered by Citizens United, are doing everything they can to make sure that doesn't happen. I mean, the Koch brothers don't want the Democrats for a very, 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 very good reason. And that reason is that the Democrats want solar power. They want to reduce the power of the oil and gas companies, of which the Koch brothers own one of the biggest, Koch Industries. and they want to somehow save the planet by reducing carbon emissions, which the Republicans don't want, because for them,
what I don't
because
understand,
making
don't
money.
they have kids
In other words,
and grandkids? Don't they have kids and grandkids, money notwithstanding, that are going to be poisoned in lakes and just by the air and the sun and all that?
It's an old Koch brothers expression. Fuck them.
Yeah. They don't give a damn.
And what's really bizarre to me, the thing that I don't understand, and I mention this to my Republican friends, and basically they repeat that back to me, which is fuck you, is that why, if you've got $20 billion, is it so important to have $30 billion?
The greatest.
And what they say, what they come back to me and they say is, you have no right. They say to me, you have no right to ask that question.
Well, why not? You've
because,
got a lot of money, and you don't. Sometimes it's enough. You're not motivated.
Well, because you're not allowed to tell somebody it's enough. That's why. You're not allowed to tell somebody it's enough. And if they don't want to help anybody else, even though they've got $20 billion, that's their prerogative. This is what they tell me.
Like Trump, he donates
a
lot to charity.
Okay. I mean, if everybody was like Soros and everybody was like Bill Gates, you'd have many fewer starving people.
Yeah, but the only charity Trump has ever given to is himself.
That's the funny thing. He had a charity. And
he has a Trump Foundation.
Nothing went to charity.
No, of course not. Nothing.
And he had a school and no one got it. No one was educated.
Well, let me tell you about that school. He had that school in Florida. And he charged these people $20,000, $30,000. People advanced him $25,000 and $30,000 because he was going to teach them how they were going to become like him, which is to say rich. Okay? And it turned out the entire exercise really was a scam. There really was no learning whatsoever. The whole thing basically was a way to steal these people's money and keep the money from them. And so a bunch of these people went to the attorney generals of the state of New York and the state of Florida to try to get their money back from Trump. Now, the attorney general of New York decided there was merit in what they were saying, and there is a court fight right now in New York where people are trying to get their money back from Trump University and from Donald Trump. But in Florida, we have an attorney general by the name of Pam Bondi, and she was appointed by our governor, Rick Scott, who is perhaps the governor who has stolen more money than any other governor in the history of governors. He owned a health company, and when he was running that health company, they stole something like $175 million from Medicare. And they went to court over it, and basically 175 times he pleaded the Fifth Amendment and said he had nothing to do with it. And they had to pay a fine, but he never went to jail. But he had so much money that he could buy the election. And that's what he did twice. He bought the election to become governor of the state of Florida. And so he appointed this Pam Bondi, who's this sort of blonde, woman who, after the flood in New Orleans, basically took in one of the dogs that had been, caught in the flood. And when the whole thing was over, the owner of the dog came to her and said, this is our dog. We'd really like to have our dog back. And for a while, her answer was, no, you can't have your dog back. It's mine, and I'm keeping it. And so finally it went public, and finally she gave the dog back. But this is another Tea Party Republican woman who believes that if you have an abortion, that you should go to jail, one of these people who, one of these Tea Party people. And anyway, Donald Trump.
Love the fetus, hate the child.
Without a doubt. But anyhow, Donald Trump gave her $25,000 to her campaign to run for top dog again. And she declined to go to court against Trump University.
Oh, wow.
And it's clear as a bell to me. It's clear as a bell to me that she did it pay for play. And it's just one more disgusting thing in the state of Florida that was allowed to happen by the Republicans.
Yeah, well, I go back to the Chads, the hanging Chads.
Well, the hanging Chads, I know. And that was Al Gore's fault. Why didn't he fight for something? He gave up the presidency by 538 votes. That's why the pollster, it's 538 is the name of his poll.
538 is the number of congressmen and senators combined.
You sure? You sure
Yeah.
it's not 538 Chads that beat Al Gore?
It's from the 500. There's 100 senators and 435 congressmen.
Oh,
they throw in the 3 electoral votes that go to D.C.
Okay.
As right. To get to.
And how about the Supreme Court just saying, okay, that's enough. Let it stand. We don't have to count any of that stuff.
Well, if you've got politicians on the court, and of course, if the Democrats are in the court, the Republicans are complaining that they're all, they should all, never change the rules. But of course, when they're in the court, they can do pretty much whatever they want. So Citizens United became the law of the land.
Well, they stole the election in 1876.
They have stolen elections. They've stolen elections from us forever. And the Citizens United, unless it gets turned around. I mean, the great irony, the great irony, is that the Republicans had the whole thing set up beautifully. If only Donald Trump hadn't come along. They were all set. They were all set. Ted Cruz would have been president. He would have been. I know. He would have been. We would have gone back to the Dark Ages. This country would have gone back to the Dark Ages. And the Ninth Supreme Court Justice would be, somebody from the
Tea Party.
From the Tea Party, yeah, another Alito. Another one of these guys. Scalia, another Scalia. Sure.
When Scalia died, I wasn't upset by that at all. The only thing that Clarence Thomas had to pick one of the other ones to tell him how to think.
Right. Clarence Thomas, that's a disgrace. You talk
Clarence
about
Thomas,
women's
of course,
rights.
it's a disgrace.
As if this Trump thing doesn't go back years and years, all throughout our history. Recently, if we remember how Clarence Thomas, what he went through with the woman that testified against him, this guy becomes a Supreme Court justice. Is unbelievable. That in itself.
Ralphie, once again, the difference between Anita Hill and Clarence Thomas and Donald Trump in the world is television. Once again. There was nothing televised with how Clarence Thomas treated her. He grabbed her breast in private. He called her names in private. He showed her his schlong in private. It was all I said, she said. And when she said all the things, and you know damn well that happened,
and jokes
he denied, like Trump, he denied every single thing she said. And Trump is attempting to do the same thing. The only difficulty with Trump is that he's done it to 20 other women, and now they're all coming forward.
And it's a total vast conspiracy by...
well, of course it's a vast conspiracy because it's the only chance that he has...
leaving this.
Well, sure. I mean, he could very well have had Bill Cosby as his vice president. Nobody would have noticed. I know it. It's time for dinner. We'll talk about the St. Louis Cardinals next week or something.
All right, Alan, you'll get a chance to talk a little ball later in the week with me. We got. I want to talk Milwaukee Braves.
Okay,
your buddy.
Fine.
All right.
All right, Alan. Here's the question: how the hell does the Milwaukee Braves trade Tulowitzki? Why the hell would they do a thing like that? One of the great shortstops of the major leagues and let the guy go.
He was on the Rockies.
Oh, okay. Forget the Braves. Let's go to the Rockies. Why would you get rid of a guy like that? Terrible.
Contract, who knows?
Because they're worried about big contracts and his back. I think he had some injuries.
Why'd the Yankees get rid of Andrew Miller, who's become a cult figure in Cleveland?
And
they still have him under control for 2 years.
And the Giants got rid of Duffy for Matt Moore, and
I'll tell you what, your Matt Moore almost
Hart was taken out of the Giants when that trade was made.
The Pirates
trade owners, general managers trade players like it's fantasy baseball.
The Pirates went to when they traded Melanson.
Hey, the Pirates might trade McCutchen. The Pirates are talking about trading McCutchen to the Yankees.
To the Yankees. Great.
Yeah.
The Pirates had pitcher Jeff Locke pitched around 130 innings for them. That was the most innings by any pitcher for them this year. You know how incredible that is?
That's ridiculous.
That's ridiculous. Go over 130 innings.
I picked the Pirates to win, and you're a Pirate fan, Alan.
No.
So we both agree that most agree that McCutchen is right up there in the top 10.
Oh, he had a terrible year this year. Past season.
Okay.
And he's coming up. He's going to be a free agent, I think, after next season. And they gave him a contract to buy out his years ago, to buy out his odd years in the first couple of years of free agency. And there's only a certain amount that they'll pay anybody. So the chances of them going back to what they were for 20 years, it's out there.
It's out there.
All right, we're going to end it, and we'll be back next week, same time next week. The Three
Ralph, you're not going to post this, are you?
Pardon me?
You're going to post this?
Wait a minute. I'll tell you what. I'll post it under my show, and no, I think this is as good a Golenbock show as I've ever done. Not going to post it. Wait a minute. Yeah, I'm going to probably post it. Alan, would it be all right if we post it?
Yes.
Yeah. Hey, this is the time to post
all the crazies responding to it or listen to it.
Oh, well, they could listen. At least we get our word out. This is all cathartic. And
the crazies aren't even going to listen. The crazies have no interest in what the Democrats have to say. They've got no interest.
But, they'll listen to the first two sentences because of your name, and then they'll go, oh, my God, he's talking about something that isn't the 1954 Yankees and the Cleveland Indians. Oh, my God, he's got a social conscience. Oh, my God, do we want to hear that? Well,
absolutely not. I know. Well, that's what they write me on Facebook sometimes. Why don't you just talk about baseball? Oh.
Right, exactly. Like, I'll become a robot someday. I went to Dartmouth, and I have more in my head than most. By the way, you have your maximum Wendy's, in your life.
I got a lot of Wendy's. Yeah.
You got a lot of Wendy's. More Wendy's than Peter Pan.
But you don't realize, too, my cousin Jeffrey is also married to a Wendy.
Really?
That's his third Wendy. Yeah. Wendy,
right.
My Wendy, my sister Wendy, and Jeffrey's Wendy. It's a lot of Wendy's. I know.
All right.
And my sister was named after Wendy from Peter Pan, and I was named after Peter from Peter Pan. Yeah.
That is incredibly interesting.
I know.
Because the Peter Pan story of never growing up and having to be all right to never grow up.
We never do.
Obviously stuck with you, and that's been a big my mother would say, you're Peter Pan. You won't grow up. I certainly hope not. And may she rest in peace.
That's why everybody
absolutely correct.
Better from all the stuff that baseball and everything else that happened when you were kids because life didn't interfere.
Right.
That's right.
That's
exactly right.
Absolutely true. And
if you had the opportunity when you were a child to root for the Yankees, you never lost.
I know that, yeah.
I didn't. I never lost. Never.
I know, and I had the opportunity to root against them, and that's a
And
win.
you never won. Yeah, right.
I remember thinking when they got Bud Daly, they must have been 59 or 60.
That's right. And you know what? The guy was fabulous.
Yeah.
He was
Bud Daly
fabulous.
was
No
fabulous.
question about it. And I said Arnold Johnson should be the most valuable player of the Yankees.
The Yankees
there was some truth to that. Arnold Johnson was very close to Del Webb, and he was very close to George Weiss. And Arnold Johnson trusted that Weiss would make sure that he got players commensurate with what he gave up. And he did. He did do that.
He got good ball players.
He got very good ball players.
He got Seaburn and Lumpy, and they were good, solid American.
And he got a bunch of other people too. He got other people too. But see, the Yankees only needed one guy. The Yankees would need one player. Kansas City would need three. So
I know, but they didn't need Johnny Cooks and Ditmar and those guys when they were washed up.
No,
they needed them.
Ditmar they sent back to Kansas City when they got Bud Daly.
Yeah.
Who'd they send back to Kansas?
Oh, Ditmar.
Oh, yeah, Ditmar.
Art Ditmar.
Cooks and Starvin had arm problems.
Broke Art Ditmar's. It absolutely broke Art Ditmar's heart.
For that.
And then the first time Ditmar faced Mickey Mantle, the first time he faced Mickey Mantle, he says to Mickey, "I'm going to throw you a pitch right over the middle of the plate, and I want to see how far you can hit it," which is just one of the great stories of our time. And Eddie Lopat was the manager of Kansas City, and he knew what was going on. So basically, he whistled, which was the signal to Ditmar to throw a curveball. And so instead of throwing him a fastball, he threw Mickey a curveball, and he almost took Mickey's head off with the thing. And Mickey was ready to kill him. Oh, anyhow. All right, boys. We'll see.
All right, next week, more baseball. No, baseball. And I am going to publish this, and if nobody wants to listen to it for any good reason, they can write me a letter and tell me why, because if you could come back and say all the things we talked about, all the social issues that aren't being met by these people and their greed, you could tell me how that helps humanity. Go ahead, write me a letter.
Well, just put on it that all we're talking here is politics. If you don't want to hear about politics, tune in next week. Just say that.
I will again. I will put that in the headline.
Good night, guys.
All right. Good night, guys. Sorry for my phone, but it's the way it goes. First your money, then you close. That's what they tell you when you call them.
Take care.
All right. See you guys next week.
Okay.
Adios, everybody. Keep on keeping on.
Okay. Bye-bye.
The host has joined the conference.
Monty. Hello. Hello. All right. You were there a second ago. You're not there now.
Hello? Hello?
The host has joined the conference.
Hello, it's Monty.
Gentlemen.
Hello. It's Monty.
How are you?
Doing good.
Jason and Monty.
Yes.
Thank you for joining us. Joining me. Jason, I'm surprised. Thank you. I hope you're ready to chat about it all, because I'm the ignorant guy and I want you two to kind of carry it. So I'm going to push a button and here we go.